विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन् आत्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये दूर्वादलद्युतितनुं तरुणाब्जनेत्रम् हेमाम्बरं वरविभूषणभूषिताङ्गम् कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयकिशोरमूर्तिम् पूर्तिं मनोरथभुवां भज जानकीशम्. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'll just start sharing my screen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. So just a quick recap of what all we have done so far. Yeah, we finished the introduction Amok section, and then we entered into the territory of the doubt that was cast by Bharadwaj to Yajnavalkya, wherein Bharadwaj asked him, "Are the two Rams the same? The Brahman Ram that we call as the omnipotent, omnipresent, all-pervading, is he the same as the Raghunandan Ram, the Ram that was born in the clan of Raghu?" And Bharadwaja, on this question of Bharadwaj Muni, Yajnavalkya says, "That's a very sweet question you've asked, because you're no other than the student of Valmiki himself. So obviously you are asking this because you want to hear the Leelas of Ram. It's not that you don't know the answer. But even if you didn't, there's nothing to be afraid of, because you're not the first person to have this doubt. This doubt was already had by Sati when Shivji went into a trance meditating on Shri Ram. And then we enter the whole episode of the cycle of Sati Daha. So we have covered that. I'll not recap that in detail. So basically, Sati has the same doubt as Bharadwaj Muni. Shivji tries to explain to her. She's not convinced. She wants to, kind of validate it on her own. She goes ahead and does that. Then there's a yagya organized by her father, Daksha, who became Prajapati. She's insulted there, and in a fit of rage, she, through her yogic power, self-immolates. Shivji is very angry. He carries her body, which is then broken to pieces. This katha is not in the Manas, it comes from the Devi Bhagavad. And they become then the 108, 51, 52, depending on which source you're looking at, the Shakti Pithas. So the larger message is that the territory of India, what we call India, the physical geography of India, in its spiritual mapping, is infused with complete faith, and which is why India is called a spiritual land. The reason why the air over here feels different, especially in the Gangetic plain in the Himalayas, is because the land is infused with spirituality. So the mythical mapping, the physical mapping, and the people, they all intermix, and that creates the beauty of the land that is India. So that's where we stopped last time with the Sati cycle. Now we enter the next cycle, which is the rebirth of Satiji as Parvati in the house of Himalaya. So she is born as the daughter of the Himalayas as Parvati. And the moment she is born, there is great joy everywhere. And we had come up to that point at Chaupai Doha block number 65, and we had stopped there. So we shall continue now with Doha Chaupai block number 66. सरिता सब पुनीत जलु बहहि खगमृग मधुप सुखी सब रहहि सहज बयरु सब जीवन त्यागा गिरि पर सकल करहि अनुरागा सोह सैल गिरिजागृह आए, जिमि जनु राम भगति के पाए। नित नूतन मंगल गृहतासु, ब्रह्मादिक गावहीं जसु जासु। नारद समाचार सब पाए, कौतुक ही गिरि गेह सिधाए। सैल राज बड़ आदर कीन्हा, पद पखारी बर आसनु दीन्हा। नारी सहित मुनि पद सिरुनावा, चरण सलिल सबु भवनु सिचावा। निज सौभाग्य बहुत गिरिबरना, सुता बोली मेली मुनि चरना। त्रिकालज्ञ सर्वज्ञ तुम, गति सर्वत्र तुम्हारी। कहु सुता के दोष गुण, मुनि बर हृदय विचारी। Sarita sab punita jalu bahi. So all the rivers that were flowing from the Himalayas, their waters became pure. So the waters were pristine anyhow, but because of the birth of Parvati, because of the infusion of self-affirmation of faith and the removal of doubt, the waters not only remained pristine, but they became pure. They became pious. Sarita saba punita jalu bahahi, khagamruga madhupa sukhi sabarahi. And because of this, the khaga, the birds, the mruga, the animals, and the madhupa, the bees, they all became happy. Sahaja bayaru saba jivana tyaga. Those who had natural bear, natural enmity, like the mongoose and the snake, the horse and the buffalo, they just can't stand each other. If you put a horse and a buffalo together, they'll end up in a fight and probably one of them would be dead. A tiger and an animal of prey. If you put these things together, there is a natural enmity between them. And because of this infusion of spirituality, that natural enmity also reduced. And I keep on saying that our country is a land of embodied tradition. It's not that this is something we read in a Google Meet and then real life continues differently. The morning tea you sip, one of them is called a Bāg Bakri Chai. The Bāg eats the bakri, but because this Amruta Tulya Chai, as it is called in Maharashtra, it is like ambrosia like Amruta Tulya. The Bāg and Bakri stay together, which is how the name comes, Bāg Bakri Chai. So this coexistence after the removal of enmity is what happened in the land of the Himalayas, which is to say that everyone was staying in harmony and within their maryada. Because, in the modern world, we have what is called these zoonotic diseases. You cross your maryada, you enter their territory or they enter yours, and everything is destroyed. But when one is living within one's maryada, then everyone can coexist peacefully. And that is exactly how the natural territory of the Himalayas changed. Okay. So Sahaja Bayaru Saba Jivana Tyaga Giripara Sakala Karahi Anuraga. And everyone started loving each other as also the beautiful territory of the Himalayas staying there. Soha Saila Girijagraha Aye, Jimi Janu Rama Bhagati Ke Paye. So the mountain started shining. It started becoming resplendent. And how was it? It was like a bhakta who becomes joyous and emits radiance once he is infused with the bhakti of Ram. So the whole Himalayas, what differentiates them from the Alps, apart from their physical height, of course, is this infusion of spirituality and the glamour, the shine, the radiance that comes out of it. So Soha Saila Giri Jagruha Aye, Jimi Janu Rama Bhagati Ke Paye, Nitanutana Mangala Gruhatasu, Brahmadika Gavahi Jasujasu. And every moment was a moment of new auspiciousness in that house, which is the Himalayas, and everyone was singing the glories of that abode because it was so well endowed. Narada Samachara Sabapai. And then Narad Muni, when he's roaming all around in these skies, suddenly comes to know, oh, Sati has taken rebirth over here as Parvati. Let me ferret around and find what's going on. So the moment he understands that, he goes there. Narada Samachara Sabapai. He comes to know this whole happening of the Himalayas. Kautukahi Giri Geha Siddhai. And to see this whole kautuk, this whole joy, he went and approached the house of Himalaya. Raj, Shailon ka Raja, the king of the mountains, which is of course the Himalayas. So Raj bada adarakin, the Himalayas personified, welcomed Narad Muni, did all the honors and said, please come. Pada pakhari bara asanudinha. Then his feet were showered with water, and then he was given all the honors and given a seat to sit down on. So Parvati is born, Maina and Himalaya are very happy. Narad Muni sees this and comes there to kind of stir the pot and check out what's happening. Nari Sahita Muni Padasirunava. And because Narad Muni had come, along with Maina, his wife, the mountain Himalaya, bowed down to Narad Muni. Charana Salila Sabu Bhavana Se Chava. And then he had washed his feet. He took that in a pot, and with leaves of mango, he sprinkled all that water which had become auspicious by the touch of the feet of Narad Muni, and sprinkled it all over his house. So you might have seen that when we do an Udak Shanti, you have this water pot that is sanctified, and then you put the mango leaves in it and kind of spread those waters all over your house, asking for peace, prosperity, and well-being. So similarly, he did a kind of Udak Shanti in a way when Narad Muni's feet touched those waters with which they were sprinkled. Nija Saubhagya Bahutagiri Barana. And then he started describing the great joy that that had come his way because of Narad Muni coming there. Suta Boli. Then he called his daughter Parvati, Aja. Suta Boli, Meli Muni Charana. Please fall at the feet of the Muni. So first he and his wife greeted the Muni. They respected him. They gave him a proper place of seating, and then he called on his daughter and said, please fall at the feet of this great Muni. Trikalagya Sarabhagya Tumha. And then he comes to the point. O Narad Muni, you are Trikalagya. You know the movements of time in all three, Bhut, Vartaman, Bhavishya, past, present, and future. Sarabhagya, you move around everywhere. So space and time, are playthings in your hand. You move across three times, you move across all spaces. Trikalagya Sarabhagya Tumha Gati Sarabhatra Tumhari. You move around everywhere, which is why you are in the know of everything that is happening in the complex of time and space. Kahahu Suta ke dosa guna. Give me a nice horoscope of my daughter. Tell me what are the good things and bad things that are there. Uske lalat pe kya likh ke aaya hai. Kahahu Suta ke dosa guna munibara hrudaya bichari. So he comes, he offers him the respects and then says, please tell me, what is it that is in store for my daughter? So like any father, he's worried about the future of his child. And because a great learned Muni like Narada has come, he says, tell me what's at least written. What is the fate part, that 20% part of my child? And then Narad Muni, being asked, then responds. And this again is a classic example of how you break news or how you interact. Itni mithas se wo baat karte hain, and then he hits the punch. But see, sometimes when we are agitated, we immediately come to the point and talk about the negative thing first. Ye hua nahi hai. Lekin ek cheez jo hui nahi hai, uske piche there are 99 things that have happened. We never acknowledge them because what pains us is that one thing that has not happened. And Narad Muni does the opposite. He flips the coin. He tells everything that is good about Parvati ji and then says, ek usme blemish hai, wo teet dithona jaisa lagaya hai, so that kisi ki nazar na lag jaye. So let's see how Narad Muni answers this question. Kahahu Suta ke dosha guna muni bara hrudaya bichari. So Chaupai Doha block number 67. कह मुनि बिहसी गूढ़ मृदुबानी सुता तुम्हारी सकल गुण खानी सुंदर सहज सुशील सयानी नाम उमा अंबिका भवानी सबलक्षण संपन्न कुमारी होई ही संतत पिय ही पियारी सदा अचल एहि कर अहिवाता एहि तेज सुपय हहि पितु माता होई ही पूज्य सकल जग माही एहि सेवत कछु दुर्लभ नाही, एहि कर नाम सुमिरि संसारा, त्रिय चढ़ी हहि पति व्रत असि धारा, शैल सुलक्षण सुता तुम्हारी, सुनहु जे अब अवगुण दुई चारी, अगुण अमान मातु पितु हीना, उदासीन सब संशय छीना, जोगी जटिल अकाम मन, नगन अमंगल बेस, अस स्वामी ही कह मिली, परिहस्त असिरेख, कह मुनि बिहसी गूढ़ मृदुबानी. And then Narad Muni responded with a sly or with a mysterious smile, Suta tumhari sakala guna khani. Your daughter, you have nothing to worry. She is a storehouse of good qualities. I mean, she's born in the Himalayas, which are endowed with all the mineral wealth, pristine waters. If she is born in such a clan, she comes infused. She's a mine. She's a store well of good qualities, which you yourself carry. So you have nothing to worry about. Sundara, Sahaja, Susila, Sayani. She's beautiful. She's simple-minded. She's not, being overtly smart or hypocritic. She's of good character and she's mature. Nama, Uma, Ambika, Bhavani. And she has such beautiful names. Uma, Ambika, and Bhavani. Remember that the word Bhavani was also used for Sati. So Narad Muni is expressing his know, that he's in the know, that this is the same Sati that has come back as Parvati ji, saying she has such beautiful names, Uma, Ambika, Bhavani. So, we say now, Kaitar Gangubai ani Hatat Katlacha Vana. So, you have a very beautiful name, but your looks don't carry that beauty. But with Parvati ji, Narad Muni says she has such beautiful names that are balanced by her beauty, her simplicity, her character, and her maturity. So everything that you would ask of a child, she has it. Sabalachana Sampanna Kumari. She's a daughter who is endowed with all beautiful qualities. Hoi hi santata piya hi piyari. And there's another quality that makes her special. She will always be the beloved of her lover. She will always be loved by her husband. Sada achal ehi kara ahivata. वो अखंड सौभाग्यवती रहेगी. She will never face difficulties of a loss of a husband. And the husband and her will be in eternal love. Ehite jasu payahi pitumata. And because of all these qualities and her happy marital life, she'll bring great glory to you, O Himalaya, as also to you, O Maina, which is the mother of Parvati ji. Hoi hi pujya sakala jagamahi. She will become a puja. Everyone in the world will worship her. Ehi sevata kachu durlabhanahi. And if you worship her, even the hardest of your wishes would be fulfilled in this world once she becomes known to everyone as Parvati. Parvat ki putri, isliye Parvati. Ehi kara naamu sumiri sansara, priya chadhi hahi pativrata asidhara. So all people, ehi kara naamu sumiri sansara, triya, all women, triya mane stri, all women, when they are climbing on the razor's edge of marriage, on which they can slip both husband and wife either way. So basically, Goswami ji is acknowledging that marital life is like walking on a razor's edge. Asi is a talwar, a sword, and dhara is the sharpness of it. So he says that marital life is like walking on a blade of a sword or a razor's edge. And while doing that, so that they may not fall on it, women will end up worshipping your name, O Parvati. So when there is the Ganesh festival, which will come now shortly, the Ashadhi Vari has just started and it passed through Pune yesterday. So Pune is full of this Vari atmosphere. After that, all the festivities will set in. And finally, we will have the Ganesh festival, which is the biggest festival in the town of Pune. Before that, there is a vrata, which is called Hartalika. Now, no one really knows what that, well, many people don't know what that means, but it means Harita Alika, someone who was taken away by her friends so that she could get the husband that she wanted, who was none other than Parvati. So, wo jo Haritalika vrat karte hain is basically for happy marital life, keeping Parvati as the Dhruvatara as the pole star for such marital bliss. So this is the blessing of Narad Muni, saying when women climb the razor's edge of marital life, they will remember you as the one who showed the way. Saila Sulachana Suta Tumhari, and hence your daughter is endowed with all great qualities. Now, Suna Mujhe Avaguna Je Aba Avaguna Duichari. Now, to balance this, she has a few bad things. Ek do main bas bakhan ke liye, just for an example, I'll let you know what those are. Dithona, ताकि नजर न लग जाए. अगुण अमान मातु पितुहीना उदासीन सब संशयहीना. We don't know what this is about. So this has to be read with the Doha up to Asaswami. She will get such a husband who is Agun. उनको कुछ पड़ा नहीं है, वो अवघड़ दानी है. अमान, उनको कोई मान मर्यादा नहीं है. He'll do what he wants. He'll, not wear appropriate clothes. He'll not have any qualities. So यहाँ पे गुण जो ऊपर बताए हैं, सकल गुण खानी is like qualities of a human being, of a person, or the trigunas. Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. So again, this interplay between Prakriti and Purush begins. Parvati is a storehouse of all gunas. And Narad Muni says, Asaswami, she'll get such a husband who's Agun, who's beyond the three gunas of Sattva, Rajatama, or he has no qualities, he has no good qualities. Aman, he doesn't demand respect, command respect, people criticize him, praise him, he is ignorant to it. Matu Pituhina, no one knows what his parentage is, what his Kula is. No one knows who the parents of Shivji are. Matu Pituhina. Udasina. He is disinterested, dispassionate in his own world. Apni dunya mein mast rehte hai. Saba sausaya china. And he's very easy to please. He does not ask saying, are you an appropriate bhakta? If someone comes and asks for something, he's, a giver without discretion. He just le lo. Avghad dani hai. Jogi. He's a yogi. Jatil akam. He's a jatadhari. He has matted hair on his head, unwashed, unkempt, unclean, matted, draped with the milk of the banyan tree. So all these jatas that you see on the acharyas and rishis, they are the milk of the banyan tree, the sap of the banyan tree is applied to them to keep them in place. It acts like a hair gel of sorts. So he's a jatadhari. He's a jogi. He's not a bhogi. He's not someone for the material world. He's a yogi. He's a jatadhari, akam. He's dispassionate. He has no interest in having his family. Aniket hai. Unka koi ghar baar nahi hai. कहीं पे तो बैठे रहते हैं, कहीं पे तो चलते रहते हैं. अनिकेत है, अकाम है. He has no interest in tending his own garden, as they say. Akama mana nagana amangala besha. So his mind is basically without any desires. वो नंगे घूमते फिरते रहते हैं. He'll just put a little loincloth and move around. Amangala besh, and he wears a human skeleton around him. He has snakes around his neck. It's a very odd dressing sense that he has. So as we would say, an underground dressing sense today, a very subaltern dressing sense. Amangala besha. And it is so weird that it almost looks inauspicious. Asaswami, she in her fate has written that she will get such a husband, even though she's beautiful, she's having beautiful names, she's endowed with all qualities. उसके भाग्य में ये लिखा है कि उसको ऐसा ही पति मिलेगा. असस्वामी एहि कह मिले ही परिहस्त असिरेख. उनके हाथ पे ये रेखा पड़ गई है कि उनका स्वामी ऐसे रहेगा. Now we of course know that this is Shivji, but he is just telling them कि it could be anyone else also, क्योंकि अमंगल बेशधारी है, जटाधारी है, अकाम मन है, ऐसे घूमता फिरता रहता है, अनिकेत है. We know it's Shivji, but he's telling it generally, saying, "Iske bhag mein aisa likha hai." Because you asked me, this is how it is going to be. Since this is a flow, I'll probably read till 68 and then we'll pause for questions. सुनि मुनि गिरा सत्य जिय जाने दुख दंपति उमा हरसानी नारद हूँ यह भेदु न जाना दशा एक समुझब बिलगाना सकल सखी गिरिजा गिरिमैना पुलक शरीर भरे जल नैना होई न मृषा देव ऋषि भाखा उमा सो बचनु हृदय धरि राखा उपजेउ शिव पद कमल सनेहु मिलन कठिन मन भा संदेहु जानिकु अवसर प्रीति दुराई सखी उछंग बैठी पुनि जाई झूठी न होई देव ऋषि बानी सोचहि दंपति सखी सयानी, उरधरी धीर कहई गिरिराऊ, कहु नाथ का करियऊ पाऊ, कह मुनि सहिमवंत सुनु, जो विधि लिखा लीलार, देव दनुज नर नाग मुनि, को न मेट निहार, सुनि मुनि गिरा सत्य जिय जानी, दुख दंपति ही उमा हरसानी. Now this pair, Maina and Himavant, Himalayas, listening to the Gira, the vocalization of Narad Muni's thoughts, they took it to heart and they became very sad. But Uma, Parvati, knew what was happening because she is none other than Sati reborn, and she was very happy that she is going to go back and meet Shivji again. Her doubt, the mind was burnt when she had that agony saying, "What have I done?" And the physical form was burnt when she self-immolated. And now she comes back refreshed, renewed. What is that bird that comes out of fire? I forgot the name of the bird. You know, there's a famous bird that comes out of fire.
Phoenix.
The phoenix. So this is a phoenix of sorts. And she's back now as Parvati ji. And so she becomes very happy. Narada hu yah bhedu na jana. But Narad Muni does not understand that Parvati and Shivji are one. He's just going around, you know, yahan ki khabar udhar de do, udhar ki khabar idhar de do. So he does not understand, because from the outside, everyone is looking disturbed and forlorn. Dasa ek samujhaba bilagana. उनकी बाहरी दिशा एक थी, लेकिन अंदर में भाव अलग अलग आ रहे थे. The mother was thinking, I cannot for life's sake wed my wife to such a person. The husband was thinking, kul ka kya hoga, maan ka kya hoga, and Parvati ji was happy. So all three of them were in different mental states, but from the outside, everything was looking very quiet and a little sad. Sakala sakhi girija, giri maina, pulaka sarira bhare jalanayana. And all the friends of Parvati ji, Girija, Parvati ji himself, Giri, Himalaya, and Maina, his wife, all of them had their hair standing on end, saying, "Iski शादी होने वाली है, ये तो पक्का लिखा है. इसको पति मिलने वाला है और पति को पत्नी मिलने वाली है, ये तो पक्का लिखा है. That they will be inseparable and they will be deeply in love with each other. ये भी नारद मुनि ने बता दिया है." So they were very happy on the one hand. Jala bhare nayana, their eyes welled with tears because they also knew the kind of husband that is going to be. So they were happy and sad at the same time. And so the friends of Parvati, Parvati herself, the father, the mother, Narad Muni, they are all standing looking at each other, no words exchanged, overwhelmed with emotions, tears rolling up in their eyes, or eyes watering up. Hoi namrusa devarisi bhasa uma subajana hridaya dhari rakha. And Uma, Parvati ji, knows कि नारद मुनि तो देवऋषि है, उन्होंने एक बार जो कहा वो तो असत्य होने वाला नहीं है. See, because these munis are extremely careful with every word they use. If it is not going to happen, they will not say it. If it is to happen, they do tuk karke bol denge. So she knows that he's a very powerful muni, and Narad Muni, and if he has said it, there is no way that his prediction can be falsified. So Uma so bachanu hridaya dhari rakha. So Uma held this to heart, and she then started reflecting on what is going on. Upajev Siva Pada Kamala Sanehu. And then she suddenly, ek umar si padi, in her heart welled up for the love of Shiva. Upajev Siva Pada Kamala Sanehu Milana Kathina Mana Bhasandehu. But she also knew that meeting him is going to be difficult, because now she's reborn. He's sitting there in meditation. I don't know how he's going to get out of meditation. I don't know even whether he's ready for marrying again, because he was deeply in love with Sati and is extremely tormented. So she's in the know, but she's also worried as to how do I actually reach Shivji and make him my husband. Milana Kathina Mana Bhasandehu. So that Sandeha, which is there from her earlier birth, slowly starts welling up, but then it's nipped in the bud. Jani ku avasaru preeti durai, sakhi uchanga baithi puni jai. And she realized that this is not the right moment to think about it, because mera man to Shivji ke paas hi hai, jo hona wo dekha jayega. So that doubt is again cast aside, and then she goes along to together with her friends. Sakhi uchanga baitha puni jai. And then she sits on the lap of her friends. Jhuti na hoi devari shibani. The speech of Devrishis will not be false. So chahi dampati sakhi sayani. So Parvati ji was happy knowing that Devrishi ki Vani galat nahi ho sakti, jhooti nahi ho sakti. But the parents and the sisters and the friends were worried. Uradhari dhira kahai girirau, kahahu natha ka kariya upau. And then finally Himavan put his act together, collected his thoughts and said, okay, if this is what the action of fate is, that she's going to be happily wed, they are going to be deeply in love with each other, but he's going to be a person, a weirdo. What do I do now, Narad Muni? Tell me, what should my course of action be? And Kahamuni Sahimavanta Sunu. And Narad Muni told, listen, O Himalaya, Jo Bidhi Likha Lilar, whatever has been written as the line of fate will happen. You can cry, you can beg, borrow, steal, fight, do what you want. This will not change. Deva, the gods, Danuja, the demons, Nara, human beings, Naga, the Nagalokas, even me, Narad Muni. Remember the story that we told about the arrogance of Narada, and we had covered that in a very, very early session. So he then gives a recall to that, saying, even I am no exception to this. Muni, Kouna Meta Nihar. Whatever is written in fate, it is a rule without exception. What is to happen will happen. So that 20% part will happen. The remaining 80%, which is aise qualities wala aisa pati dhundho, who will be the best amongst them, which is Shivji. That is in Parvati ji's hand. But that she will get a weirdo like Shivji as her husband. That cannot be changed. Okay, a quick pause. Any questions? Okay.
Santosh,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Which is, like basically, when you say 20% is fate, what are the other 4 things? You mentioned it earlier. I was just trying to understand that, because I guess it applies to all of us in our lives.
Absolutely. I'll just cover that. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay, so this is from the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 14 from chapter 8. Adhishthanam tatha karata karanam cha pruthak vidham vividhascha pruthak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. The 5th part is your fate. That cannot be changed. What are the other 4? Adhishthanam, the seat or base of action, which is primarily yourself. You have the agency to do things. Karta, the physical body, and the ahankar or the ego that thinks it is the doer. These two interplay to create a lot of activity. And the basis of that activity is Rajoguna, the urge to do something. If you pull it towards Sattva, that's the good side. If you pull it towards Tama, that's the wrong side. Which is why also you have another verse saying, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhavam. So there is Rajoguna inherent in all of us. We have a physical body given to us. We have an ego. These are entirely in our control. We can fix something that is wrong with the body. We can manage our ego. We can train it. This is not decided by fate. So Adhishthanam, the Karta, Karanam cha pruthak vidham, the various instruments. You have been endowed with a mind, albeit with different capacities, but everyone can work on it. These are what we call malleable and ductile. You don't come with a mind that you were born with and die with the same mind. It evolves. It has an entire trajectory of evolution. And that is in your control. So your body, within its limits, I mean, a crow can't become an eagle and an eagle can't become a lion. But within that bodily framework, there's a long range on which you can work, which is the adhisthana. The ego, the sense of ego, the sense of doer. It can be worked up, it can be pushed in all directions, it can be removed. Then all the tools or the instrumentality, as we were talking in the last a couple of sessions back. You have the mind, you have the intellect, you have the 5 senses. You can perceive things and you have the agency to act on what you perceive. All this is in your control. And vividhascha pruthak cheshta. You can then process all this. You can use your body, your ego, your perception, your processing of those perceptions, and then act. So all your physical endeavors, your movements, everything that you do, every second is a choice that we make. I will do this and not that. I will say this and not that. Every second is an exercise of choice, and that is in your hand. even if you go along this choice tree, ultimately there is a fifth part to it, which is Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. No one can change that because it comes from what all you have done in your earlier births, both seen and unseen. Does that answer your question? Or
yeah, thank you so much.
yeah. So this is a direct verse from the Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 8. So these are the four. When we were speaking about it 2 sessions back, I had said that the object is also amongst the 5. So I
Yes.
was wrong. I stand corrected. It's not the object. It's the doer, the ego, the instrumentality. So the location, basically the locative case, the doer, it happens in my body. It happens in my ego. It happens with the instrumentality of all the instruments that I have, and then the action. So the doing, the actual doing. And then the fifth part is Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. And Narad Muni is talking of this 1/5, saying no one can change that. What you can change is how do you want to get the best of these weirdos, which is Shivji. And if you get him, then he's no longer a weirdo because he's a Mangal Beshdhari Mangal. He's, he wears everything, he does anything, but he's a genius of sorts. So if Shivji does it, it is obviously pious. So we'll come to those stories later. And Namita, since we are talking about this, why does Shivji become pious even though he has all these negative qualities? If any one of us would start doing that, we would be called a madman. So to give a musical analogy, Aladia Khan used to say that कोई भी राग में कोई भी स्वर लग सकता है, लगाने वाले की औकात चाहिए. So similarly, when Kumarji used to sing Nand, he used to say कि इस राग को किसी की नजर ना लगे, इसीलिए मैं जो स्वर नंद में वर्जित है उसकी टीट लगा रहा हूं, उसका डिठौना लगा रहा हूं. So in Rajana Ab To Aa Ja Re, in that famous bandish, he has used a phrasing of Nand which is not technically allowed by the grammar, but only a genius like him can do it. So similarly, Shivji being Shivji, whatever he does goes. So anyhow, coming back to your question, this is the fifth part, and the other 4 are these. I think.
I was just adding to this. Last time, जब आपने ये explain किया था, तो आपने intent पर भी बहुत focus किया था.
Yeah, which is
about intent. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the Karanam Prithakvidam, the mind, intellect, and the 5 senses. So your intent is defined over there. It's the instrumentality, and you have agency for that. That is not a function of fate. You are born with a certain
physical
set of things that you can't change. Everything beyond that is a choice you make every second, and you can evolve. And there is a fifth part to it, which is fate, which you can't change. So many a times our thought is mistaken to be ye sab fate pe chhod dete hain. It is not that. It is a recognition that even though you do everything, things might not be in your control, and you have to do a kind of risk mitigation by accounting 20% for it. And this is what we do in daily life. Risk normally is anywhere between 15 to 20%. And that's what the Gita is also saying, that you have to have risk mitigation of 20% because there are certain things beyond your control. Yeah. Sajali.
So just to clarify, that it's not that this 20% is sitting distinctly. It's actually in and through all the physical, the eye sense which you have, the intent somewhere. Your prarabdha is also intertwined in the kind of body you get and the kind of senses you have and the kind of inclinations you have.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying, so
Absolutely.
just to say that it's not sitting independent.
It is not. It is all infused. Sana hua hai.
Yeah.
But still you have agency. So, I mean, the very fact that I was not born an elephant or an insect, but a human being is my prarabdha. But what I do of it, that agency I have.
So that is one. The other things are more observations, which is when you said that Parvati ji ko doubt aaya and then she put it aside. It's almost a reminder that the nature of thought and emotion is fleeting. It'll come and it'll go. And they repeat, for me at least, they're repeatedly... Tulsidas ji comes back to it as if, look, it is the intrinsic human design. So give it its rightful place and no more.
Exactly.
Almost a reminder of that.
And also be aware that however convinced you are, doubt will arise. And whether to nip it in the bud or whether to treat it as a rightful doubt is again a matter of viveka, a discretion.
Yeah.
Because not every doubt is wrong. But to keep on doubting unnecessarily becomes a problem.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Just one it need not be addressed just now. But somehow before I came to the Manas, what I carry is that an expression ke wo to bahut Narad Muni hai, idhar ki udhar karta hai, but not in a very complimentary sense. In fact, just the opposite. And I wonder where this sort of touch of, it's almost derogatory. If somebody would call me a Narad Muni, I would get sleepless nights.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, whenever you think it is okay, to just clarify where and how this might have happened.
So, Shubhasya Shighram, this is the right time to clarify that. So,
Okay, thank you.
so basically, our culture has the ability to look at itself with a humorous bone. You know, we have also talked about the Manas earlier. Ek tha Ram, ek Ravan na, ek tha Khatri, ek Baman na. Inne inki nar churai, inke unsi hui ladai. Itni si to batan na, tulsi lik gaya pothan na. And no one says that, oh my God, this man has to be cancelled out. He's criticized Goswamiji. This is parlance. This is par for the course everywhere in the Tarai. That ha tulsi to pothan na lik gaya, itni si to baat thi. So similarly, Narad Muni is a brahmachari. But he keeps on falling back into moha and works on it. So he's the archetype of a person with the right intent, but being pulled by different things. At the same time, he's a great rishi. He's a great muni. He's a very learned man. We saw how he was born in an earlier birth, served great learned men, then became reborn as Narad, had the arrogance, was chastised by Vishnu. So you always have this interplay between Sattva Guna, which takes you to a certain point, and then fall back by Tamaguna, some learning, and then pull back again into Sattva. And this cyclicity continues and is personified in Narada. That's number one. In fact, your question will be spoken by Maina now, saying, "Ye Narad Muni kya jante? Har jagah jaake chugli karte hain." Maina actually says that in the next Doha Chaupai block. So Narad Muni is that archetype, and our tradition does not stop anyone from criticizing. It allows that space. It allows that criticism of Goswamiji. As you very rightly said, if someone calls me a Narad, it would almost feel derogatory. But at the same time, he was a very learned man, which is to say that no one is infallible. Everyone can fall, and that warning bell has to continuously ring. We all fall. We all make mistakes, including Narad Muni. But he became a Muni. He rose up from it. He came out of it. And the Puranas are strewn with stories of the moha of Narad and how he was taught a lesson and how he learned from it. So the humor is the way he tripped. But that he learned and came back is the interesting part. He didn't just stay wallowing over there. Yeah? Okay, so anything else? Okay, if not, then we move on to Chaupai Doha block number 69. So now, Narad Muni has said that jo fate, this 1/5 cannot be changed, but I will still give you a solution. तदपि एक मैं कर कहूँ पाई, होई करे जो देव सहाई, जस बरु मैं बरनेऊ तुम पाही, मिली उमहि तस संशय नाही, जे बर के दो सब खाने, ते सब शिव पही मैं अनुमाने, जो भी बाहु शंकर सन होई, 200 गुण सम कह सब कोई, जो अहि सेज सयन हरि करही, बुध कछु तिन्ह कर दो सुन धरही, भानु कृसानु सर बरस खाही, तिन्ह कह मंद कहत को नाही, शुभ अरु अशुभ सलिल सब बहई, सुरसरी को अपनी तन कहई, समरथ कहु नहीं दो सुगोसाई, रवि पावक सुरसरी की नाई, जो अस हिसी सा करहि नर, जड़ विवेक अभिमान, परहि कलप भरि नर कमहु, जीव की ईस समान, तदपि एक मैं कहूँ पाई. I'll give you a little solution, even though this line of fate cannot be changed. होई करे जो देव सहाय. And maybe that, if it works, will actually turn the negative into a positive. Jasa baru मैं बरनऊ तुम पाई. The way I have described her match to be, मिलहि उमहि तस संशय नाही. There is no doubt that her match will be exactly the way I have described him to be. He'll be disinterested, dispassionate, in his own world, wearing something, not wearing something, moving around naked apart from a loincloth, having a human skeleton around him, jatadhari, snakes around him. Complete weirdo. That cannot be changed. But J Bara ke dos bakhane, all the bad qualities of the bara, of the vara, of the husband that I have described, te sab siva pahi main anumane, all of them are actually also there in Shivji. All the qualities that I have described are actually there in Shivji. So he's now specificizing the general description, saying Shivji to ऐसे ही है जैसे मैंने बखाना है. ये सब दुर्गुण उनमें भी है, लेकिन वो उनमें है, इसके कारण वे दुर्गुण तो है नहीं. And why? He explains that now. जो विबाहु संकरसन होई, if this marriage is done with Shiva, then this act of fate is also followed, that 20% is taken care of, but she gets a husband like Shivji, or सोने पे सुहागा. So दोषों गुण सम कह सबु कोई, और जो दोष मैंने बखाने थे, the bad qualities that I had talked of, they will all suddenly turn around and appear as good qualities because the husband is none other than Shiva. And how does this happen? He explains that. Jo ahi sej sayan hari karahi. Hari, Vishnu, sleeps on a snake, but no one criticizes him saying, ye kya pagalpan hai? He is worshipped as Hari. But unki shayya kya hai? This is directly from Bhartruhari, by the way. That, he says it in a different context, that Shivji moves with a katori begging bowl, Hari has to stay on a snake, and the acts of fate cannot be turned around for anyone, even for Shiva and for Vishnu. That's a verse from Bhartruhari, which Tulsidas ji twists and brings in a different context. Jo ahi sej sayana hari karahi. Hari, Vishnu ji, ahi mane sarp, snake, nag. Jo Hari एक सर्प पे शयन करते हैं, उनकी तो टीका कोई नहीं करता. No one criticizes him. But if you and I were to do that, either the snake would bite us or people will think ये madman है, ये क्या पागलपन है, सांप पे क्यों सो रहा है. बुध कछु तिन्ह कर दो सुन धरहि. But the intelligent people do not blame Vishnu for lying on a serpent. Bhanu, the sun, soaks in all the waters as if it's eternally hungry. Similarly, fire sucks in everything that comes its way as if it's had nothing to eat forever. Sarabara sakhahi, tinha kaha manda kaha tako nahi. But no one talks of them as Kumbhakarna, who's ever hungry and ever sleeping. The sun, wherever it is continuously soaking in. There's not a moment of stop. It is eternally hungry, and so is fire. But no one says कि अरे इनको कोई समझ नहीं है, इनको कोई अकल नहीं है, इनको कोई बर्ताव का तरीका पता नहीं है, because they are fire and sun. Subha aru asubha salila saba bahai. The Ganges, Surasari, the Ganga, it carries the water from the city flowing into it. It carries the pristine glacial waters. It carries waters from our households. But no one calls the Ganga as impure. It might be unclean, but no one calls it as impure. She's still pious. Subha aru asubha salila sababahi. She's taking in both clean waters as also unclean waters, but no one calls her impure. समर्थ कहूं नहीं दोष गोसाई, रवि पावक सुरसरी की नाई. जो समर्थ है उसके अंतर्गत जो दोष है वो भी गुण के समान लगते हैं. So if someone is having a certain vazan, a certain heaviness, then he can easily carry on his sleeve what appears as a negative quality for someone else. So Namita, going back to the musical example that I was giving, कि हर राग में हर स्वर लग सकता है, लगाने वाले की औकात चाहिए. So you need to have that genius to have that, otherwise it will appear very odd. So Samaratha kahu nahi, dosa gosai, Rabi, the sun, Pavaka, fire, Surasari, the river Kinai, like Gangaji, fire and sun. The sun is eating everything, the fire is taking everything in, the Ganga is taking both clean and unclean water, but no one says that these are bad. No one says that these are unclean, ever hungry, impure. Fire in fact is the great purifier, even though it is sucking and burning everything and consuming it. But no one thinks of fire as impure. But if you have a human being hogging 24/7, what would you make of it? So, Samaratha kahu nahi dosa gosai. Because they are endowed with a certain heaviness, a certain greatness, they can carry these qualities easily, which is to say that the Leelas are to teach us deeper lessons. We cannot follow them verbatim. So, Krishna Leela Anand ke liye hai, Bhagwan ko andar jagrat karne ke liye hai. Ram Leela is to follow. So, if you want to follow someone, then the axis is Ram. If you want to, be in a trance of joy, it is Krishna. So, because if we start doing everything that Krishna does, it will be a problem. So जौ अस हिसिसा, then he goes कि अगर ऐसी ईर्ष्या कोई मानव रखता है कि मैं कृष्ण भगवान जैसा, मैं सूर्य जैसा 24 घंटे खाता ही रहूंगा, पीता ही रहूंगा, I'll not bathe. Like the Ganga also takes impure water and still it is pure. So why do I need to bathe? Mal sab रहने दो शरीर पे. If some human being starts, behaving like these greats, it is just a reflection of his jadata, of his lack of intellect and his arrogance. Parahi kalapa bhari narakamahu. He'll lie for an entire kalpa. We saw what a kalpa was earlier. He'll lie for an entire kalpa in hell. Hell is other people. So he'll just lie in hell. जीव की ईस समान, एक जीव जो है, जो अभिमान से जड़ित है, if there is a person who is having a lot of pride and arrogance, can he ever equate himself with the divine? Never. So he first has to work on these qualities, and only then the divine within can be invoked. But without doing that, if he starts invoking the divine, then it will be deeply problematic. It is only Gangaji, the sun and fire that can be all consuming and remain pure. We have to have a sense of do's and don'ts because we are not them. Which is why all the bad qualities that I have described, they are carried on his sleeve very lightly. Well, he has no sleeve. They are carried on his shoulder very lightly by Shivji, but no one else can do them. Then he will be a weirdo. So the only resolution to this problem is that she marries Shivji, and then all the doshas will turn to gunas. So we'll complete another Doha Chaupai block, and then we'll go to any questions. So Doha Chaupai Doha block number 70. सुरसरी जलकृत बारुनि जाना, कबहु न संत करहि तेहि पाना, सुरसरी मिले जो सो पावन जैसे, ईस अनीस ही अंतरु तैसे, शंभु सहज समरथ भगवाना, एहि विवाह सब विधि कल्याणा, दुराराध्य पै अहि महेशु, आसुतोष पुनि किए कलेसु, जो तपु करे कुमारी तुम्हारी, भावी उमेटि सकहि त्रिपुरारी, यद्यपि बर अनेक जग माही, एहि कह सिवत जि दूसर नाही, बरदायक प्रणतारति भंजन, कृपा सिंधु सेवक मनरंजन, इच्छित फल बिनु शिव अवराधे, लहियन कोटि जोग जप साधे, अस कही नारद सुमिरि हरि, गिरिजनि दीन असीस, होई ही यह कल्याण अब, संशय तजहु गिरीस. All right. So now Narad Muni goes on and explains. Surasali jalakruta baruni jana, kabahu na santa karahi tehi pana. Let's say you go to a saint and then offer him wine, varuni, and say, Maharaj ji, ye to Ganga Jal se bana hua hai. The basis of that is Ganga Jal. Will he drink it? Right? So Surasari jalakruta baruni jana, kabahu na santa karahi tehi pana. Surasari mile so pavana jaise, isa anisa hi antaru taise. But if you take a pot of wine, put it into Gangaji and let it flow, 10 kilometers down the line, saints will drink that water as pavan. Similarly, Isa Anisahu Antarataise. The difference between Ishvara and Jiva is this. That, you think that you have great qualities, but you are actually intoxicated. However, if you let go of that intoxication and make it flow in a larger flow, that is Ishvara, but you are not there. So you want the qualities of Ishvara without letting go of your intoxication, which is this Madira. So if you offer a saint Madira, which is made from Ganga Jal, the grapes have been washed in it, they have been fermented in Ganga Jal, he's not going to drink it. But if you empty that barrel in Gangaji, 10 kilometers down the line, they're sipping it as holy water. How does this work? Because Gangaji is pure. But if you reduce it, Ishwar ko aapne reduce karke, it is intoxication, it is ahankar. If you widen your identity and make it so wide that it is all encompassing, only then the divine shines through. But if you want that without letting go of your identity, main mera, then it's not going to work. So, Surasari jalakruta baruni jana, kabahuna santa karahi tehi pana, Surasari mile so pavana jaise, Isa anisa hi antaru taise. Sambhu sahaja samaratha bhagavana. This Shivji is Sahaj. Remember, he's called Parvati also Sahaj. So now he's matching the qualities. Samartha, she's beautiful, he's powerful. She is Sakshat Bhavani, he is Bhagwan. So, you know, 3 qualities have already matched. Ehi bibaha sab vidhi kalyana. And this is the only way that this marriage will be successful, because all the qualities are matching. तो जो मैंने बताया है वैसा ही होगा, और उससे अगर आप कल्याण चाहते हो, from that if you want any benefit, then the only person liable is Shivji for Parvati and Parvati ji for Shiva. So ehi bibaha sab vidhi kalyana duraradhya pay ahi mahesu. But that Mahesha is difficult to get because he's in deep meditation. After the death of Sati, Shivji, as we say in modern parlance, has lost it. He does not know what to do. We saw that painting in which he's carrying her on a trishul. And then he finally quietens down and is in deep meditation, completely withdrawn to himself, regretting the whole episode. He is also tormented. And he is now difficult to get because, you know, he's in a different zone now. Duraradhya pay ahi mahesu asutosha puni kiye kalesu. And if there is someone who has klesh, kales is klesh, किसी अगर बहुत क्लेश से युक्त है और बहुत जल्दी वो प्रसन्न होते हैं. So while on the one hand is Duraradhya because of his current mental state, his qualitative poise is such that छोटा सा भी अगर आप उनको कुछ दे दो, चढ़ाओ, quickly he is happy. He is not someone you have to meditate on for long. That is the quality of you. अवघरदानी है, पूछ लो दे देते हैं. He doesn't look for whether you deserve it or not. आपने पूछ लिया, आपने भक्ति की दे दिया. That's his nature. Asutosh. Tosh माने संतोष, being happy, anandi. Ashu is a little, quick. Ashu is quick or little. So he's someone who becomes satisfied, happy, pleasing very easily, very easy to please. So this Ashutosh, that is the meaning of that word Ashutosh. Very easy to please. Ashutosh apuni kiye kalesu. So if she does a tapas, agar Parvati ji does some tapasya, he will be very easy to please. Jau tapu kare kumari tumhari. If your daughter gets into a meditative trance herself to balance the meditative trance of Shivji, bhavyu meti sakahi tripurari. Only then Shiva can finally meet her. Jadyapi bara aneka jagamahi. There are so many men in the world who fit this description. Every other man would probably fit this description. Ehi kaha siva taji dusara nahi. But to turn those bad qualities into good ones, there is no one else than Shivji who is appropriate. So the solution is that she has to get into a meditative trance, meditate upon Shivji, because the two of them are already aligned. Their 3 qualities are aligned. Sahaj for her Sahajata, Samarth for her beauty, and because she is Bhavani, he is Sakshat Bhagavan. So what is there to worry? Baradayaka pranatarati bhanjana. Agar koi, if someone comes to him, if someone prostrates before him, then all his worries are burnt by Shivji, और वो उनको वर देते हैं. That is his nature. Krupa Sindhu. He is an ocean of compassion. Sevaka Manaranjana. And his whole endeavor is to please the minds of those worshipping him. Ichchita phala binu siva avaradhe lahiyana koti joga japasadhe. And whatever you want, you can worship 10 other deities, but you will never get what you want unless Shivji is worshipped first. So says Narad Muni. We often forget that Ganesha is the son of Shivji, and he represents his father when every puja, everything begins with Ganesha. You have to worship the clan of Shiva first before you get into anything else. So, Ichchita phala binu siva avaradhe, lahiyana koti joga. You can do anything, but if you have not done that puja earlier of Ganeshji, who is his son, who represents him, nothing else can be achieved. Of course, I mean, I'm stretching the meaning over here. He's just saying that she has to basically get into a meditation to balance the meditation of Shivji, and then he will be easy to please. Asakahi Narada Sumiri Hari Girijahi Deenha Asisa. Having said thus, Narad Muni then went into a trance himself and started worshipping that Hari lying on the serpent. And then he blessed Girija. Hoi hi yaha kalyana aba sansayata jahu Girisa. And then he talks to a father saying, O Giris, O master of all the mountains, cast aside all your doubts. The killer of doubts is born in your family. Parvati ji, your own daughter, is is the end enemy of doubt. Why are you in such a big doubt? Kill all your doubts. ये कल्याण also means marriage. So आपका कल्याण होगा, which is मैना, हिमालय and पार्वती जी का कल्याण होगा, या होई ही यह कल्याण अब. This marriage is a given. There is no change to it. Shivji and Parvati ji will get married. So all the durgunas that I have talked of will suddenly spin over and turn into gunas. अब ये सब मैना जी शांति से सुन रही है, whatever Narad Muni is telling, and then she comes back. So any questions thus far? Yes, Ajit.
Just so, I mean, you said it earlier, you meaning it was said earlier as well, that Shivji is lamenting. We saw that. So what is not sitting with me is, on the one hand, he's all-knowing, he's Shiva. And on the other hand, he's lamenting. So if Uma knows that, that as Parvati, this is where I'm headed and this is whatever everything is, why is it being repeatedly mentioned that Shiva is lamenting? Doesn't he know that this is all, I mean...
It's the same like Rama's lament. It is Leela. All these stories play out for us to learn things. These are, so it's not anthropocentric. These are not human beings. They are in their own Leela form. They are doing this play, enacting it out. So can we draw the rasa from it and we learn things from it? So the lamentation is an act. The burning is an act. The whole way in which Ram moved around the forest, saying, "Oh birds, oh flowers, oh trees, where is Sita? Where is Sita?" That's a classic example of how a human behaves in viraha. And he's telling us that will create further problems for you. Get your viraha in control. So if you read the whole commentaries, they talk of all these leelas as ways for us to pass time. It is called kala vikshep. How do you pass time? You can go and play cards, you can go for a party, or you can listen to katha. So katha, one part of katha is kal vikshep, passing time. The other part is learning from the kathas to really unfold what all is happening within your own mind.
Yeah. Thank you. I just needed this reminder. Thanks.
So hoi hi yah kalyan ab sansaya tajahu girisa. So give up all your doubt, O Himalaya. The killer of doubt is born in your family. What's wrong with you? Give it up. And now we move on to Doha Chaupai Doha block number 71. कहियस ब्रह्म भवन मुनि गयऊ आगिल चरित सुनहु जस भयऊ पति ही एकांत पाई कह मैना नाथन मैं समुझे मुनि बैना जौ घरु बरु कुलु होई अनूपा करिय विबाहु सुतानुरूपा नत कन्या बरु रहु कुआरी कंत उमा मम प्राण पियारी जौन मिली ही बरु गिरिज ही जोगु गिरिजड़ सहज कहि सब लोगु सोई बिचारी पति करे हु विबाहु जेहि न बहोरी होई उरदाहु अस कहि परिचरण धरि सीसा बोले सहित स्नेह गिरीसा बरु पावक प्रगटै ससी माही नारद बचनु अन्यथा नाही प्रिया सोचु परिहरहु सबु सुमिरहु श्री भगवन पार्वती ही निरमय जेहि पार्वती ही निरमय जेहि सोई करिहि कल्याण. Sorry, the rhyme is not matching. प्रिया सोचु परिहरहु सबु सुमिरहु श्री भगवान पार्वती ही निरमय जेहि सोई करिहि कल्याण. I read it as Shri Bhagwan, which is why it wasn't matching. Okay, it's Shri Bhagwan. Okay, so kahi asa brahma bhavana muni gayau. Having said thus, the Muni went his way to his own abode. Agila charita sunahu jasa bhayau. Now, who is saying this? Now listen to the story as it happened further. Are these all three voices speaking? So is Goswamiji telling us, saying, now listen to the story as it happened further? Do we go roll in one stage further? And is it Bharadwaja telling Yajnavalkya? Or is it Shivji telling Sati, saying, in another eon, this whole cycle between the two of us has evolved and you were reborn as Parvati or Sati? Or is he telling this to Parvati in another eon? It is operating at all levels. So suddenly Tulsidas says, hello, I'm now telling you, I'm the one narrating the story. Agila charita sunahu jasa bhayu. Ab aage ki katha jaise hui waise suno. But I would typically place this at the level of Bharadwaj and Yajnavalkya, because that's the conversation within conversation within conversation. That's the standard format of all Puranas. There are embedded conversations within one another. So they get in, and they get out, get out, get out. Like we solve mathematical brackets, the conversations then move up and down. So this is Goswamiji talking to us, or Bharadwaj and Yajnavalkya talking to each other. Pati hi ekanta pai kah maina. The second, teaching of the Manas, even valid today. The first was talk about the good qualities first. You can, whatever critique you have, whatever criticism you have, can come later and can come sweetly. So we say Satyam, talk the truth, but talk it sweetly. Don't talk truth if it is to be said unsweetly. So just make sure that your wording is proper, is what Goswamiji is telling us. Similarly, Maina has been quiet all through. She has not uttered a word. She just embraces her daughter. She is full of tears when this happened. But the whole dialogue is going on between Himavant and Narad. Now Narad is gone, and then she has found her intimate quietude with her husband. Ekant unhone paya hai. And now she starts speaking. Nath, O husband, O master, na main samujhe muni. I don't get what Narad Muni has been saying. In brackets, blabbering, because again, it's Narad. So we have the play to call him as blabbering, as putting backbiting, not backbiting, but koi to chugli, yahan ki baat wahan bata do, etc. That space of humor is provided because of the character of Narad Muni. So Nathana main samujhi muni baina. I don't understand what Narad Muni has been saying so far. Jo gharu baru kula hoi anupa kariya bibahu suta anarupa. It is the nature of the world that the family, gharu, we don't know who Shivji's parents are. Baru, the person himself, we have seen a description of how he is. And Kula, his larger family, we don't know anything about it. So aap Kul dekho, which larger family does the boy or girl belong to? What is his or her direct lineage? Parents kaise hain, kya karte hain, unka character kaisa hai, aur khud ladke ko dekho. Agar ladka ladki theek hai, to everything else doesn't matter. So again, they are in their ascending or descending order of priority depending on your mindset. But ये तीन चीजें तो देखो. नारद मुनि कह रहे इसलिए आप करवा रहे हो, ये क्या चक्कर है? How does this work? Kariya bibahu suta anurupa. You need to find a husband who's appropriate for your daughter. Don't just get into the flow of what Narad Muni is saying. आपने ना उनका घर देखा है, ना बर को स्वयं देखा है, ना कुल देखा है. आप ऐसे कैसे हाँ भर दिए? How can this marriage happen? Nata kanya baru rahau ko. I have no problem if my daughter stays a spinster. वो कुंवारी रहेगी. Nata kanya baru rahau kuari kanta uma mama prana piyari. Oh beloved, she calls him Kanta. Oh dear husband, oh beloved, Uma, my daughter, is dear to me than my own breath. I'm okay if she stays a spinster, but I'm not going to let her be married to someone simply because Narad Muni is saying so. Jona milahi baru girija hi jogu, and then she plays on to his pride. If Girija does not get an appropriate husband, Giri, people will say, अरे भाई ये तो गिरी है, जड़ है, stone से बना हुआ है, पर्वत है, उसकी बुद्धि रहेगी ही क्या? He's made up of stone, he's cast in stone. Giri jada sahaja kahi saba logu. People will say that you're mandamati, you're dumb-headed because you are cast of stone, you're a mountain. So beware of our own prestige in the larger society of mountains. The Sahyadris will start laughing at us. The southern mountains, the Malabar coast will start laughing at us. The Vindhyas will start laughing at us. You are the tallest amongst all of them and they will call you stone-headed. Jo na milahi baru girajahi jogu, saying, itna Himalaya hone ke baad bhi, aise pati se beti ki shadi karwa di. Soi bichari pati karehu bibahu. Then, so she first calls him Nath, master, beloved. And then she invokes his duty saying, you are my husband. You better listen to what I'm saying. So Nath, Kanta and Pati. All three variations of emotions she addresses him as. Soi bichari Pati, O husband, think through and then act. And then do the marriage. Jehina bahori hoi uradahu. Else both of us will regret it later. Think before you do. Asakahi paricharana dhari sisa. And then the fourth recourse. So first, master, I'm your servant. Second, I am your beloved. So emotional catch. Third, we are husband and wife, duty catch. And fourth, I am helpless, you find the solution. She falls at his feet. Asakari paricharana dhari sisa. Bole sahita saneha girisa. And then Himalaya was also disturbed. He picked her up gently and with a lot of love he spoke to her. Bole sahita saneha, with a lot of love, he spoke to Maina, Baru pavaka pragatay sasimahi. It might be that fire might rise in the moon. So the impossible, anhoni ki honi ho jaye. The impossible might be possible. Narada bachanu anyatha nahi. But the speech of Narada will never be untrue. So all this is crying over spilled milk. I get your emotional state, but this is that 20% of fate. You also chew the bullet, accept what is going to happen, and we'll find a solution that works, which is to marry him off to Shivji, in which all the Durgunas are converted to Gunas. Priya Sochu, oh beloved, he also responds back in her register because she's called him Kant. Priya, oh beloved, Sochu Pariharu Sabu, cast aside all your doubts, Sumirahu Shri Bhagavan, start meditating upon that Almighty. Parabati Hiniramayu Jahi, the one who has created her, Soi Karihi Kalyan. He has got that act of fate for her and he will take care of her. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, Bhagavad Gita. You have faith in that divinity. It will take care of things. You do what is your part to do. You have given me your opinion on it. This is that 20% we can't change. Whatever we can change, we will change and ask Parvati to get into whatever she has to do so that Shivji becomes her husband. Okay, so now we go on to Doha Chaupai block number 72 and then we'll pause for questions. अब जो तुम ही सुता परने हूँ तो अस जाई सिखावनु देहु करे सो तपुज ही मिल ही महेसु आन उपाय न मिट ही कलेसु नारद बचन सगर्भ सहेतु सुंदर सब गुण निधि ब्रुस केतु अस विचारि तुम तजहु असंका सब ही भांति संकरु अकलंका सुनिपति बचन हरसि मन माही गई तुरत उठी गिरिजा पाही उमहि बिलो की नयन भरे बारी सहित स्नेह गोद बैठारी बारही बार लेती उरलाई गद गद कंठ न कछु कही जाई जगत मातु सर्वज्ञ भवानी मातु सुखद बोली मृदुबानी सुनहि मातु मैं दीख अस सपन सुनावं तो ही सुंदर गौर सुविप्रबर अस उपदेश उमोही अब जो तुम ही सुता परने हूं. So then Himalaya says, oh beloved, listen, if you really love your daughter, which you do just as much as I do, then please go and speak with her. Because you are so worried that she'll get a man of all such negative qualities, we now have to make sure that she gets Shiva and no one else. So go and convert this act of fate into agency and let's reduce everyone else and bring her to marry Shiva. And that's what you can definitely do to correct everything that might go wrong if she marries someone who's not Shiva with all these qualities. Karao so tapu jehi milahi mahesu, ana upayana mitahi kalesu. If you do anything else, then you are banging your head against the wall and your kalesh is not going to get over. Narada bachana sagarbha sahetu. The words of Narad are deeply embedded with a mysterious meaning. Sagarbha sahetu. In the womb of his words, there is a certain causality. Sundara sabaguna nidhi brusaketu. Prushaketu Shiva is beautiful. I mean, look at the form of Shivji. He's so beautiful. And sabaguna nidhi brusaketu. And because he's agun, all gunas emanate from him. And hence he is just as much as a meta storehouse of gunas as our own dear Parvati, who displays her gunas resplendently. Asabichari tumha tajahu asanka. Thinking thus, you cast aside your doubt. Sabahi bhatu sankaru akalanka. Shivji is spotless on all accounts. You don't attach all the doshas onto him because he's Shivji. And now set your agency to act not by lamenting on what is going to happen, but by using your agency to make sure that all these doshas are used in such a manner that Parvati ultimately marries Shivji, because Shivji is akalanka. He's blemishless. He is spotless. Sunipati bachana harasi manamahi. Listening now to these words of her husband, she got a little happy in her mind, saying, okay, maybe he's talking sense. Gai turata uthi girija pahi. And then she got up and went to her daughter. And then she sees her daughter, and then she's like, oh my God, she's so stunning. She's so beautiful. She's so delicate. And I'm going to give her to, a person having all these durgunas that were described earlier. Umahi biloki nayana bhare bari. The moment she left her husband and went to Girija and saw that beautiful daughter, tears welled up in her eyes. Sahita saneha goda baithari. She just took her to her arms and made her sit in her lap. Bara hi bara leti uralai. She again and again hugged her. Gada gada kantha. Her throat was completely welled up. She couldn't say a word. Na kachu kahi jai. She couldn't say a word. Jagata matu sarabhagya bhavani. Now this daughter that she's taking on her lap is the mother of the whole world. She's Sakshat Prakriti, right? Remember Yashoda shouting at Krishna. Now, all these Puranas have these settings, these framings to talk of a larger picture. Divinity is accessible if you make it into a child, if you make it into a lover, if you make it into a friend, if you serve it as a sevak. Swami bhav, Swami sevak bhav, priya priya bhav, पिता या माता और बेटा बेटी भाव, ये सब भावों में से हम ईश्वर को गोचर करते हैं. The only way we access divinity through our senses is by forming a relationship with them through one of these dimensions. So she's taking Bhavani Sakshat Prakriti on her lap as a daughter, and then Matu Sukhada Boli Mridubani, and then Parvati very softly speaks back to her mother. Sunahi Matu, oh mother, listen. मैं दीख अस सपन सुनावो तो ही. I saw a little dream. Let me narrate that to you. Sundara Gaura Subiprabara. There was a handsome, fair, Subipra, a very learned Brahmin. Bipra is a Brahmin. Bara, the best amongst Brahmins, and with good intent. So a Brahmin need not necessarily be good. He might be learned. So this one was learned. He was the best amongst learned, and he had the best of intentions. Subipra Bara. He was beautiful and he was fair. Sundara Gaura Subipravara Asa Upadesa Humoi. So this fellow came in my dream and he gave me an advice. I want to narrate to you, O mother, what happened in my dream. Let's see what you have to say on it. And now Parvati ji narrates to her mother a dream. So before the advent of Jung and Freud, the dreams were always embedded in the Puranas to tell something you couldn't tell directly. So she knows that her mother is in dire straits. She's Bhavani. She knows that she's pining for her. So any logic is not going to work. So she deflects her and says, look, I've had a dream. We'll just take a pause here. I'll tell you another story. Eknath Maharaj, a very famous saint from Maharashtra, he had a dream that Jnaneshwar Maharaj, so the Samadhi of Jnaneshwar is here near Pune in Alandi. And Eknath Maharaj had a dream saying Jnaneshwar is sitting there in his Samadhi, but the roots of the tree above are entangling his throat. And he is suffocating there. He told this dream to other people. The other people said, Eknath Maharaj ko aisa sapna aaya hai, to jaake to, Mauli, he's like a mother, Jnaneshwar. We have to free the roots of his throat. When Jnaneshwar Maharaj took Samadhi, he had written a copy of the Jnaneshwari which was lying there. And over the years, the Jnaneshwari had become so corrupted that when this Samadhi was opened up, probably Eknath Maharaj also got access to the manuscript. And then he edited it. And the Jnaneshwari that we read today is actually the edited version of Eknath Maharaj. So the dream sequence has been used traditionally in the Puranas in all contexts. This is another context that it is being used in which Parvati says, oh mother, come on, listen, I had a dream in which a fair, handsome Brahmin, well-meaning, came in my dream and told me something. Let me share that with you. So let's see what he has to share. Chaupai Doha, block number 73. करहि जाई तपुसैल कुमारी, नारद कहा सो सत्य विचारी, मातु पिता ही पुनि यह मत भावा, तपु सुख प्रद दुख दोष न सावा, तप बल रचई प्रपंचु विधाता, तप बल विष्णु सकल जगत्राता, तप बल शंभु करहि संघारा, तप बल से सुधरई महि भारा, तप आधार सब सृष्टि भवानी, करहि जाई तपु असजिय जानी, सुनत बचन विसमित महतारी, सपन सुनायउ गिरिहि हकारी, मातु पिता ही बहुविधि समुझाई, चली उमा तपहित हरसाई, प्रिय परिवार पितारु माता, भय विकल मुख आवन बाता, वेद सिरा मुनि आई तब, सब ही कहा समुझाई, पार्वती महिमा सुनत रहे प्रबोधई पाई, करहि जाय तपुशैल कुमारी. So now she says that I had this dream, and this person who came in my dream told me, go and do tapas. Go and do your meditations. What's the right word for tapas in English? There's a very appropriate word that I'm not getting right now.
Is it penance?
No, penance is more meditative. There's for tapas, it will come to us. So it's a combination of penance, meditation. It will come to us. But all of us understand what a tapa is, So go and
Is it contemplation?
Contemplation is a part of it, but tapas is also, hard work. The harder you work, the luckier you get. In that everyone has to do their share of tapas. The 10,000 hours that we talk of to master, not master, to at least get an insight into something. So everyone has to do that tapas, and this Brahmin who has come into a dream tells her exactly that do your efforts. Karahi jai tapu saila kumari, O daughter of the Himalayas, go and do your tapas. Narada kaha so satya bichari. Remember that whatever Narada has said is going to be true. So what is your agency? You can keep on lamenting, saying, I could have got a very rich husband with, palaces and wealth. You could just chew the bullet and take it as an act of fate, saying, whoever comes my way, I will accept. Or you can take agency in your hand and say that, okay, in this limited framing, I will choose a husband that is the best amongst them, which is Shiva. Because once I get him, the coin will flip. So do that. Do your part. Do your tapas. Matu pita hi puni yaha mata bhava. Tapu sukha prada dukha dosana sava. And then once Parvati ji told the mother of this dream, the mother also told this to Himalaya. And both of them said, yes, this is a good idea, because this is exactly also what Narad Muni had told you to do. To do your effort, to do your penance, to do your meditation, contemplation, to play your part in this unfolding of things, and play it well. Tapu sukha prada. Nothing gives happiness like a tapas. Dukha dosa nasava. It burns all your sorrows and your dukkha. So many a times, you hear all these interviews where people say that I was in trauma and I went for a jog. I was in trauma and I went for a workout. I was in trauma and I started reading and writing something. So that is tapas. It burns your sorrows. It burns whatever state of mind, fickle-mindedness. If you have something to latch onto that is higher than the here and now, that is tapas. So he says, go and do your tapas. Tapu sukha prada. Nothing more joyful than tapasya. Dukha dosa nasava. It burns all sorrows and all pain. Tapa, and then he goes on into a kind of high with what all tapa does. Tapa bala rachai prapanchu vidhata. ये जब सब सृष्टि रची गई है, this entire world is a result of someone's tapas. Tapabala Vishnu sakala jagatrata. Someone is sustaining this earth. Forget the earth. The earth is just a speck of sand in the larger cosmos. So unke rom mein se brahmand nikalte hai, we saw. So Vishnu is sustaining this also with tapas. Brahma is creating this with tapas. Tapabala sambhukarahi sanghara. Shiva is destroying this with tapas. Tapabala se sudharai mahibhara. And Sheshnaga, on which Vishnu is residing, to take the whole force of the earth, just look at the amount of energy he has to put in. So even Shesha is playing his part of tapas in holding the earth terra firma. Tapa adhara sabha srushti bhavani. Tapas is the foundation of everything. Without effort, you are nowhere. Tapa adhara sabha srushti bhavani. Karai jai tapu asajiya jani. Taking this to your heart, go and do your tapas. Sunata pachana bisamita mahatari, sapana sunayo girihi hakari. And hearing this, the Mahatari was completely in awe. Bismay chakit ho gayi. She was struck by wonder. So, Matu pitahi puni yaha mata bhava. The parents would be happy was also something Parvati ji got in her dream that she is now telling Maina. And now listening to all this, Maina is in a sense of awe. Matu pitahi bahuvidhi samujha. Sorry, sunata bachana bisamita mahatari. Now Mahatari, in Marathi, the word used is Mahatari. So many a times I feel that there is so much parallel between Marathi and Awadhi, because I don't know Mahatari if it is used in current Hindi today. But Mahatari is a very thet Awadhi word, and we still use that word in Marathi called Mahatari. Mahatari in city language or in the Nagari register means someone who's old, and it is taken with a negative connotation. Mahatara, Mahatari, someone who's old. But Mahatari in the rural register means mother. So if you go to Konkan, in the villages, they call the mother as Mahatari. And it comes directly from the Sanskrit Mahattar, someone who is senior or the oldest person in the village. So Mahattar and Mahattari, Mahatari and Mahatara. So Mahatara is an old man, Mahatari is an old woman, or father and mother. So Sunata Pachana Bisamita Mahatari, वो जो महातारी थी, वो जो महत्तर थी, सबसे बड़ी थी पार्वती जी, और उनमें सबसे बड़ी तो मैना जी ही थी, महातारी थी, माता थी. She was in awe listening to this dream. Sapana sunayo giri hakari. When she heard this dream that was so much synchronous with everything that Narad Muni had told, she then thought, okay, maybe there's something larger at play. Matupi tahi bahu vidhi samujhai. She then pacified her own parents, because now she's Parvati. She's not Sati. So she's pacifying her own parents. Chali Uma tapa hitaharasai. And then Uma went on to do great tapasya with great joy. Remember, tapas without joy is not tapas. If it is pain, it is not tapas. Tapas has to have a sense of joy, a sense of achievement, a sense of going beyond the here and now. And she, with that motivation, goes for that tapas. Chali Uma tapa hitaharasai. Priya parivara pita arumata bhaye bikala mukha avanapata. And even though they were convinced about what Parvati ji is saying, any kind of separation is painful. So her entire family, her father and mother, they became slightly sorrowful, and not a word came to their mouths. They were not able to express anything. They said, Jao, but they were not very happy that Parvati ji is going into deep meditation now. Bedasira Muni Aitaba. At that very moment, another Muni walked in called Bedasira. Sabahi kaha samujhai. And he pacified all of them. See, this is the importance of seniors and well-meaning people in your larger family. Because when you're going through pain, sorrow, trauma, various shades of pain, you need a third person's perspective who sees it very differently. So Narad Muni saw it very differently. Parvati herself is seeing it very differently. But the parents are in trauma, they are in sorrow. And then at that time, Vedsira walks in, Vedashira. Parvati Mahima Sunata Rahe Prabodhi Pai. And then he starts telling them the greatness of Parvati. She is Sakshat Prakriti, born in the Himalayas. They have to be happy that they have such a daughter like her. And he pacifies them. And it's 10:58. So this is in the flow. The next Doha Chaupai blocks are completely in the flow, but unfortunately, we have to stop here. So now Parvati ji is going into meditation. I don't know if Aparna is there today. Yeah, Aparna is there. So there is a story of why Parvati came to be called Aparna, which we will cover in the next session. So now how she does her penance, what all does she give up, and how does she get the name of Aparna, we will see next time. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, Ekta, you have something to say.
I just wanted to ask you about the tap. उसमें normally जब हम लोग use करते हैं आजकल tap, तो there is of course a sense of detachment, a deep sense of duty, and with a set outcome कि हम service कर रहे हैं या कुछ, something that is really not giving you any personal gain or any personal, it is devoid of any emotion really. It's just you have to kind of do something towards a certain purpose to achieve a certain purpose. So जो आप ये बोल रहे हो कि tapas has to be joyful, this is a completely new, I don't know what to call it also, if it's information or idea, for me. So just wanted to ask more about that, if you can kind of. Yeah.
So just a slight correction. I say nothing original. It is Goswami ji who's saying this. Tapu sukha prada, dukha dosana sama. And I'm just elaborating on that. So tapa is joyful, is what Goswami ji is saying. And see, that's again the many words lose their meaning. Are very what we referred to of the verse of the Gita earlier. Our agency is 80%. What to make of that agency is tapas. And to have that aim to lock on to beyond the here and now, and to make it to activate it through tapas is the whole joy of being. Otherwise, what meaning does life have? Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithunancha. Ahar, bhook, nidra, sleep, bhaya, fear, maithun, sex. Even animals have that. What differentiates us from animals is this tapas, this ability to be malleable and ductile. Malleable and what is the other word? Gold is what? Malleable and ductile, or what is it?
Yeah, gold is malleable and ductile. Yeah.
Ductile. So the ability of the mind to be malleable and ductile, to be our ability to be able to cast it into what we want in the given framing, is the whole joy of it, is the whole joy of creativity, is the whole joy of achievement. And the tapas then slowly starts dissolving the ego, the krodha, the kama, because the sheer joy of that activity is like washing yourself with it, which is why tapu sukha prada dukha dosa nasava.
Okay.
So tapas, I mean, all the rishis, all the munis, Valmiki, Vishwamitra, I mean, the whole agony that Vishwamitra had to go through to reach his stage of a Brahmarshi, his fight with Vasishtha, the cow that he wanted, all the worlds that he created, the ahankar that kept coming again and again, so many distractions in terms of beautiful women from heaven that came coming his way, the way he had to struggle, the entire journey of Vishwamitra is mind-boggling. And it is that Vishwamitra who takes Ramji and says, this is Ahalya's ashram. Please get her back. Because he knows the distractions that come one's way. So again, it's all interlinked. No story in the Ramayana or the Mahabharata or the characters that play their story are without context. The very reason Vishwamitra is there with Ram telling him, come on, get Ahalya out, is because he's gone through that entire cycle himself earlier and then has reached the position of Brahmarshi. But we'll come to that story when we come to the Ahalya Prasad in the Rāmacaritamānasa.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Just very quickly, because it was just highlighted that the whole bringing together of a discipline or tapas with agency and with a certain, I don't want to use the word joy again, but the whole correlation joining of these dots is, and again, as always, Tulsi ji doing it in like 5 words is quite incredible. Because otherwise these are disparate. I'm not sure how many, at least I definitely don't put them in the same bucket. So quite wonderful.
And the ultimate reason why all this is being done is to understand the divinity within us. And if that is not joyful, I mean, Sat, Chit and Anand is a very important part of it. I mean, though when you are at that stage, there are no 3 entities. They all melt into one, Sat, Chit, Anand. But it is Sat, it is eternal. It is Chit, it has life, but it is not sorrowful. It is Anandamay. And that tapas has to be joyful because that sparks that divinity within us. So if tapas is not joyful, it is not tapas. All right. If there are no further questions or remarks, we will conclude with our closing prayer and stop for the day. And next time we get to know why Parvati ji came to be called as Aparna. Okay. Yatra yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Krutamastakāṇḍalim Vāshpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namatarakshasantakam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was lovely.